Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We provide fan-oriented and analytic discussions on a variety of animated shows, movies, and anime, currently featuring Steven Universe, Miraculous Ladybug, New Powerpuff Girls, and Star vs. the Force of Evil. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Justin Cummings.
Hello.
Today, Justin and I will be recapping and discussing the Star vs. the Force of Evil Season 2 premiere. Ooh, this is our first podcast on Star versus the Force of Evil, which I assume we'll mostly just be calling Star for short on the
No,
podcast.
we'll be calling it the full title every time you want to talk about
or
the show.
STFOE. SVTFOE. I've been seeing that on Tumblr, tagged as that or something. Anyway, it's like Legend of Korra abbreviates to Korra. This abbreviates to Star. So we have to specify whether we're referring to the show or the character. Anyway, we're going to be covering all of Season 2 here on the Overly Animated Podcast. This is new coverage for us. We discuss a bunch of animated shows here on the Overly Animated Podcast, including the ones I mentioned in the beginning. If you're new to us, welcome. I hope we do justice to Star and to one of your favorite shows and stuff like that. We cover a bunch of shows, and you can check us out at overlyanimated.com, or you could search for the Overly Animated Podcast on iTunes or your favorite podcatcher. Soon I will have up a Star versus the Force of Evil specific iTunes feed that you could just subscribe to that if you just want our Star podcasts. Otherwise, you can subscribe to our main feed. Today we're discussing the premiere later in the week. Potentially for future weeks, we'll discuss it on Monday or earlier. We're not going to have it up right after the episode airs because apparently the show airs at 10:30 a.m. Which is on Mondays, which is probably the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But I don't really understand Disney's justification for putting it out at 10:30 on Mondays. I can understand that on like Saturdays, putting it in at that time. But
was it just this week, or is that their normal schedule? Because I know they aired the Bad Lip Reading High School Musical special Monday morning as well.
I don't know. I know that Star was up for put on the ballot for a primetime Emmy, so I assumed that the first season at least partly aired at night.
Right.
So it might just be this week. I mean, we'll figure this out as we go. I don't know. We'll see for future weeks here. But yeah, so we're gonna give our also, I know that Michelle watches the show already, and Delaney has been catching up, and they'll be joining us for future Star coverages. So you will get not just two dudes' opinions on this this female-led, female-created show. Normally we'll have female voices on for this. Circumstantially, it's just Justin and I this week, and yeah, so we're going to talk about first general opinions on Star and Star Season 1. Justin and I both recently just watched all the episodes, so we have much to discuss on that, and then we'll get into the premiere. I guess, so both of us marathoned it like within the past week, correct?
Yes.
Had you seen any of this show before?
I had not seen a single episode, but I had heard a lot about it.
Yeah, that's same for me. I think Delaney had seen a few episodes, and Michelle actually was like a regular viewer. So, so for us both, though, we just marathoned the season 1, which was like 13 or 26 episodes, depending on how you want to look at it. And I wrote a review on overlyanimated.com's blog section where you can check out. I'm going to start a discussion there. It's entitled "The First Season of Star vs. Force of Evil was a fun breath of fresh air." It's an okay title. But my first version was first season of Star is an interesting combination of Gravity Falls and Rick and Morty. But then my article didn't really focus on that, so I changed it to this. But my general point is that the show's really fun. It's different from a lot of animated series we see. It's refreshingly female led and like actually female led. That's the thing that kind of struck me. One of the main things was like, yeah, there's other shows with like female leads, but then sometimes the kind of the male co-star is sometimes focused upon. This is very much Star's show. Marco's important too, but Star, I mean, in the finale, Star has to go and save Marco. That's one of my favorite things that happened in the season. And I also just really love it's also refreshing just because they have such a platonic friendship between Star and Marco, asterisk ignoring Blood Moon Ball. But I love how deep of a friendship they have, and how the show absolutely does not focus upon their romance, which is very different from most Disney shows you'll see. I mean, I think the notable exception to this would be Kim Possible, which was brought up in the comment section of that article, which I think has a similar dynamic going on, and I'm sure influenced the show.
But even Kim Possible did eventually take that route, didn't it?
It did, but also this show does seem to have interest in going in that route. But like I said in the article, I think even if they go in a romantic direction with Star and Marco, it'd still be refreshing because it's based off of such a close bond and actual friendship and genuine like person to person connection rather than like I have a crush on you type middle school, high school feelings, which is where these types of kid-centric shows with a male and a female lead typically go. So I really enjoy that element. And I mean, if you look at the article, like all my pictures are of Star and Marco together. So I'm not going to deny I'm not like a little shipping it, but it's mostly that it's mostly like their dynamic, I feel like is just this really special part of the show. By the way, Starco is apparently what they're called.
That is the term, is Starco.
Starco. I think we could do better, but it seems to already be established, so I won't challenge it. But I just think the two of them together and their interactions in the show are the strongest part. I think Marco's a great lead. Now I'm just recapping what I said in the review. I think Marco's a great male lead. I'm very not used to having a male lead in a show that I genuinely like with no hangups. Even Adrian in Miraculous Ladybug, who I do like, has hangups because I don't love his behavior as Cat Noir. Marco, I have like no exceptions. I think he's great. Like that's so rare. I usually have very much problems with male character portrayals on TV, and Marco's just genuinely a good person and genuinely not sexist. Like it's crazy. So I'm a big Marco fan. I mean, really. It's not to say that he's my favorite character. Of course, my favorite character is Star, who is absolutely wonderful. She's the most adorable, and she's the most fun, and really makes the show great. And she also is just, I feel like, deeply characterized. I think that's one of the strong aspects of the show. I think I feel like she's first of all, I feel like she's a real person. I say this in the article. Star is like 14, and she acts like a kid, which is never happens and is totally how it works. So I was surprised at that for sure. I like 14-year-olds are kids. Like you don't just suddenly become like boy crazy and like adult like when you enter the teenage period. And I just feel like Star is such a realistic portrayal. And also she just has like, she screws up sometimes, other times she's really great. And sometimes she like knows how things work and how people work, and other times she has to deal with like the cultural differences with Earth. And I just really love Star, and I feel like all of that's really realistic. And to a certain extent, the great things about the show kind of stop there. Well, of course, there's the animation. The production is all incredible. I mean, things that aren't great are the mythology of the show is super shallow, and some of the episodes I think plot wise are not great, as we'll see when I discuss the two today. Oftentimes, with a few exceptions, the scripts are not wonderful. So I'm not going to sit here and say this is like a great show. It's like a good show. Sometimes it's only okay, but it is really fun, and I had a lot of fun marathoning it and catching up for this, and I like genuinely enjoyed it. So there's my big speech, Justin. Respond to any of that and give me your general impressions of the show. Yes.
Okay, so I will start my response by also offering a fusion of two shows. Mine just might be a bit more obscure. I see Star as a fusion of My Life as a Teenage Robot and Oishi High School Battle. If you get that second reference, I'm very, very impressed.
Well, I will not go into it. I haven't seen that second one. I hadn't thought of her being Jenny from My Life as a Teenage Robot. That's so
she's
good.
She's very XJ9.
Yeah, because she has to integrate into like human culture while not being human, and I totally see her as Jenny. That's great.
Everyone just accepts a robot, or in this case, an interdimensional princess, as just a part of their life.
They do, yes. So I think that's a good comparison.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the show a lot. I thought it was definitely a breath of fresh air. I messaged you at one point and I said, the show is so cute, I'm going to start puking glitter. And I do mean that in a positive way. It's a very cute show. Just there's all the aesthetic. It's not dark and gritty. It's light, it's happy, it's cute. Even when the show kind of gets a darker tone, its dark is still pretty lighthearted compared to a lot of shows.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's a Disney XD show really says a lot because that was kind of like that was created as kind of the boy channel to kind of counteract Disney Channel, like as far as demographics
Yeah, a
go.
little bit. Yeah,
That
it's
was kind of where they wanted to put their more male centric shows as far as key demographics go. Of
they're
course, anyone
also
can watch anything.
yeah they're also just putting all their animation now on Disney
Yeah,
XD.
now
Yeah,
it's kind of become
yeah,
the safe haven for animation.
yeah.
But it is important. This is the first I want to say it's female showrunner on Disney XD. I think. Don't quote me.
Well, on Disney XD, yeah, there's been one.
Yeah,
This is the second female showrunner on Disney as a whole for an animated series, or
yeah,
potentially
but
for an
Pepper Ann
ongoing.
was on before I was born,
Oh,
so
okay, that's
it's
I didn't
been
know
two
that. Okay,
decades.
right. So this is great. This is the
Oh yeah,
Steven universe of Disney in that regard.
hmm
Yeah,
and just it was just a fun show, and I can't stop thinking about it. It's just it gets in your head, not in like a I have to analyze it. It's just the moments just stick with you. It's just a
yeah.
fun, memorable show. I do have to point out I'm kind of mad because the show introduced me to Space Unicorn, and it's now my ringtone, like Marco. And I'm kind of mad at it for doing that to me.
Is it your ringtone because
It's my ringtone.
is it your ringtone ironically or non-ironically?
It's my ringtone referentially
Oh,
to
okay.
Star.
That is one of my favorite parts of Marco. He's like, it's ironic, but he like still has it and isn't like embarrassed by it. I
Hmm
love that. I love that.
Yeah, I love the dynamic. I love the whole Diaz family. I love the people in the world too. Like the supporting characters kind of have like they feel real. Like especially towards the end, we kind of started getting a little bit more of Jackie. Like she spoke. I think like halfway through the season. Jana, we got more of. We started seeing more and more of these people in the class. They kind of started building out that world. It's just I like the direction they're going by introducing more people, I guess, in the class. I like that idea better because we have enough big villains. I think we need to see more of the Earth world than we do the interdimensional world at this point. But overall, it's just a fun show. It's great, and when they do come to like a trope, like you were talking about being a teenager and going boy crazy, they do it so subversively.
Yeah, I
Like
never.
the
Yeah,
Muberty episode, they just
yeah.
do it so well.
Which is clearly the weirdest episode of the show, and
I
it's.
liked it a lot.
I mean, I think it's one of the better ones, I guess. But yeah, she only goes boy crazy Mabel for one episode, right? And it's
Yeah,
done in like a an alien interesting way. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's like they know what they're doing. They're aware that they're bucking a lot of trends, and they kind of revel in that fact. And I think it's definitely a good show. It's very encouraging. I think the fact that they do have such a good non-sexist male lead and they treat him in such a good way, I think that's very, very encouraging. And I think that's going to actually that's a really good thing for TV as a whole. I think we really needed Marco. Like, Star's
yeah.
a great character. We needed Star. I'd kind of argue that we needed Marco more because we needed to see a guy, like a teenage boy, interacting, having a crush, and not treating her like garbage. I think
Yeah,
we
yeah.
really needed to see that.
Yeah, my inclination is to agree with you, but we're both coming from a male perspective. Yeah, no, Marco's super important, of course. Like, it's the brief version of the speech which I've given a few times in the podcast. Like, young boys need to understand like that girls are not inferior or like that they're not things to mess around with. Like, they need to be seen as equals, and that you can have like non-romantic bonds with them. And Marco encompasses like all the good things in the world, basically involved in terms of that. Star is also very important, of course. In I think in a Star also has great things. The societally important wise, like in terms of like fitting in when you're different. In terms of that still being capable of acting like a kid when you turn 14. I know a lot of like young teens or feel very pressured to act teenager like and stuff, and seeing Star, I just love that she's 14. That's such an important thing to me, and I know she wasn't originally in the planning, but like who cares. But like just having her be 14 and act like this, I feel like I've never seen this on TV before, and I'm really happy about that. Are you so who's your favorite character, Star and Marco?
My favorite character. See, I love Star very, very much. She's wonderful. She's a peppy ball of energy. She's amazing. I I kind of I almost want to say Toffee, and that's so hard to say, but
Oh,
I
okay,
enjoy him so much as a
okay.
villain.
Rip.
And I didn't expect that at all. I thought we were just going to stick with comedic.
Rip.
And then we got like a genuine threatening villain, and I was very, very impressed by that.
Well, your fave is dead, so he's the Jasper of the show. He's dead. We'll discuss that in the episode discussion what happened to Toffee. Yeah, Toffee's great. I think he's interesting. Yeah, I mean, Star is my fave. Do you ship Starco? Yes or no?
Oh, I was hoping we'd get the shipping. See, there comes an issue with this.
Or are you a
because
Jackie
really,
Marco shipper?
The only other ship Star remotely possibly has is Oscar, and we all agree that's a terrible, terrible idea. And so would be Tom. Those are terrible options. Marco is just a great person, and we see him. It's like every girl you see him interact with, you think, oh, he would treat her right. The only other guys we see Star talk to, though, are all terrible people. So you kind of want to ship Starco because it's the only good guy in Star's life. I kind of ship Marco and Jana.
Marco and Jana, who is
yes.
barely a person. And I had to be told who Jana was by
she's not barely a person. She talks more than Jackie.
Jackie is also barely a person, but Jackie is like name dropped more. I don't know if Jana's like ever.
But whenever we see Marco and Jana interact, it's so cute and they're so fun.
I honestly couldn't tell you one time that they interact, but I'll take your word for it. I don't really remember that. Jana also looks like Jackie. I think the character design is very similar, so maybe I get confused. But
she's the one with the beanie, I think.
She's the weird one.
The weird girl.
Yes, that's her. No, I think she's interesting. There's the one episode where they took a trip to like the attractions dimension. That's the one I remember. That's the one I remember him from. Other than that, I couldn't tell you what episode she was in. But okay, I know that is a ship, Marco and Jana. Yeah,
that is a ship. I have other people.
I believe that is a ship. I mean, I've only been seeing posts about this for a week, but yeah, I believe that is a ship. I mean, I think it's IMO. It's Starco or bust, but whatever. I want to see either Starco or non-romantic Star and Marco, and neither of them get into romantic relationships with other people. Those are my options.
So you do not like Marco and Jackie at all?
I don't care. I don't care. It's fine. Whatever. The point of those type of crush things in these shows is not for them to actually happen. That's not how life works. So I don't think I should, but it's whatever. She's cool and I like Marco. So,
but wouldn't it be all subversive and stuff if Marco actually did talk to her and he actually did end up with her?
Well, he said, "Hey,
the message that you can end up with your crush if you just talk to them."
Yeah, I don't think that's the message that you can optimally send, but they could do that. Who's the demon guy? Is it Tom?
Tom is the demon ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, I fear that people do ship Star and him. Please don't.
No,
and please do not comment. No, that's not. I ban Star and Tom shipping. My first decree on the Star podcast.
I second your ban for the
Star
first time
and Tom
ever.
shipping.
We agree.
Tom is a jerk. At least he's trying to improve his life. But
can you ship Tom and his anger management coach?
Yes, that you can do.
That's acceptable.
His weirdly human anger management coach.
Tom X Brian, make it happen.
Brian, okay. I'll take your word for these. Brian. I think you caught up more recently. I'll take your word on character names. But yeah, I mean, he is part of the best episode of the show. Yeah, by the way, Blood Moon Ball. My first instinct was to say I don't know what the best episode is. I'm now in on Blood Moon Ball being the best one. The dance between Star and Marco is cinematic and incredible, and then the
speech.
Star's "I need a friend, not a hero" speech at the end is my favorite part of the show. Like, flat out. I was afraid going into that they weren't going to do it right, and then they did it right, and I'm so happy. So I think that was great. The other best episodes I think are probably the first two: Star Comes to Earth and Party with a Pony. There's other good ones too. Storm the Castle is also very good, and St. Olga's episodes.
Oh yeah, the St. Olga's one was incredible. I thought there was a lot of good stuff there. I figured you would like that one more.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably put it fourth on the episode rankings behind the first two and Blood Moon. So it's very happy. Also, Jessica Walters in that episode, who is my favorite voice actress probably on TV, and is the best. And I don't know, I haven't seen her in like a kid show before, so that's really cool. Mm-hmm. Other parts of the show, I mean, we're going long on general discussion. The theme song's incredible.
Oh yes, the theme song, the end credit song, they're both
the end
incredible.
credit song's also good. I think the theme song in the opening sequence, I think it's my favorite one on TV right now. I'm trying to think. I think it's better than Steven Universe.
Is it better than Ladybug? But I'm biased. I love Ladybug's opening.
Yeah, that's true. Ladybug's also up there. I'll take. I don't know. I need some time. I've listened to Ladybug a lot. I've listened to this one a lot.
I've listened to this one a lot lately.
But yeah, I keep repeating it on YouTube. And
I'm talking rainbow.
The best part is the ending, when they kind of synchronize the bouncing at the end. And it's totally an old school cartoon / anime type theme, and it's great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I believe they updated the supporting cast. I've heard that they updated. I do think that's true. So we'll go over that on the episode discussion. So the theme is the same this season, but they updated the when Star illuminates the background with her wand and we see everyone, like the Simpsons pan through all the supporting cast type shot. Yeah. So I've seen that. Well, yeah, I mean, other things, we'll get into other parts of the show, but I mean, I don't want to quickly, like, the bad things are the fact that if I'm going through the episode list, probably 60 to 70% of the episodes I would say are, only very slightly above average or below average episodes of television. I think the show is kind of better in concept than it has been in execution. Not like concept, but more like overall it's really good. But then if you're going to drill down, like a lot of these episodes just aren't very good, which is okay. I mean, it's the first season. Like I always say this on this podcast, like first seasons of television shows are never good. Like never. So when we actually do have good, like I do think this was overall an above average season of television, but only slightly because most of the episodes were probably average or subpar television episodes. When you get good ones though with the show, it's really great. But a lot of the times you get ones, I mean, like, spoiler alert for my opinions on the season, I think the first two of the season also weren't very good. So we'll talk about that. But we'll
get to that.
I have a lot of people disagreeing about Ludo in the Wild. We'll talk about it, but
we will fight because I actually really enjoyed that episode.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it. But yeah, I think that's my main thing with the show. Do you agree with that assessment that half of the episodes of the show are average or below average?
Yeah, but my thing is, this isn't the kind of show where I look at it and I'm like, it's not deep enough. It's not doing this well enough, because it's kind of a throwback to those lighthearted 80s cartoons where it's not meant to, when it's not trying to be all deep, it's not trying to be deep at all. It's just trying to be fun. And I think for just being lighthearted entertainment, it does that well, even if it's not always the best.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even when it's not good, I was still having fun watching it.
The laser puppies are probably the greatest thing ever invented.
Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page. I think the laser puppies are one of the best recurring gags I've seen on television.
When the laser puppy talked,
just because here's what's great about the laser puppy. At first, that was Mabel's grappling hook from Gravity Falls, a first episode gag that they just never bring back, but people always remember because it was in the first episode. And we go like about a fourth to a half of the season without seeing them again. But then they just come back and are in the background of like the rest of
every
the episodes.
Scene.
Yeah, and it's like a wonderful concept. It's really great.
Was it? I guess spoiler alert for the last episode. Wasn't it in the new one where she actually like uses the laser puppy like a machine gun or something?
Yes. She is in the first episode of the season. Yeah.
Yes, that was adorable.
Yeah, it was great. I really liked that. So yeah, I love the laser puppies. That's one of my favorite elements too. The mythology of the show is very weak, but that's okay. Like you said, it doesn't really matter. I don't like. This is a show where the main character spouts random words in order to cast random things coming out of her magic unexplained wand. But like, who cares? That's not
easy
important.
peasy time freezy.
Yeah, it's great, and it like that's like such an aesthetic element of the show rather than being like something that's supposed to make sense, and that's fine. That's great. I like, and my hangups with the show are not when the mythology lacks. My hangups are when the substance isn't there. This is an argument we're going to get into with this is a distinction I'll need to make when we discuss upcoming episodes of Steven Universe. I don't care if there's no plot in an episode. I care if there's no substance in an episode. It's a difference. Like,
okay.
My New One didn't have a lot of plot. I feel like it was devoid of substance. Like that's the problem. I think that it's a very surface level episode that doesn't really get into any deep character moments, even though it very clearly could have. So that's more of my problem. It's not. I don't care about the plot. This is a show where we go to random dimensions. Sometimes we stay in school and do whatever. Like whatever the show wants to do, it's fine. I just need some sort of depth of characterization or depth of interaction or or you could have depth of plot, which like the last episode I think is also lacking in characterization and interaction, like the finale of season 1, but it gets there on depth of plot. So like it gets there. Most of the time the show doesn't do that. So I think that's interesting. So it's like,
well, characterization, kind of going off of that, sorry. That wasn't the first time we saw Star and Toffee meet. So that was kind of like,
sure, it had its characterization moments, and I don't mean like connecting through. I just mean like presentation of characters. There were some good moments of Storm the Castle. I don't want to say it was like a bad characterization episode, but we can get into My New One, and I can talk about hang-ups.
Okay,
but in general, I think that the show, if it wants to be like a very good show, because I don't think it's a very good show. I think it's like a good show. It's a show that I definitely like watching, and a certain element of that. You were talking about like how cute the show is. I'm very much on like cute shows right now, and that's why I like love the new Powerpuff Girls. Like that's like very much the reason why. So like this is just something that I enjoy watching at the moment for whatever reason at this point in my life. But I think that if you're not as in on this type of thing, then the show probably lacks a certain appeal. I think if the show wants to become a very good show, then it needs to have some sort of depth in whatever it wants to do. It could go in a lot of directions. I don't care where it goes, but you need to execute like you can do a Blood Moon Ball. Like they're capable of that. But, so you need to get to that level of consistency, that the consistency that the show actually had in the first 2 episodes, and you need to maintain it for the rest of the season. And not just when you do plot episodes like St. Olga's or Storm the Castle, also for episodes like I don't know, Fortune Cookies. I don't remember that being anything. Freeze Day actually was a good episode.
The Fortune Cookie one had that had some good stuff to it, I thought.
All that. So here's the thing: we go through all of them. They all have at least a little bit of good stuff, right? Like it's not like any of the episodes are bad. So that or below average doesn't mean bad, you know. Oh, one other thing I want to mention. So this podcast is very progressive, and we talk about progressive elements of a lot of shows. To a certain extent, Star is a little bit atypical of the type of show we watch. It's a very progressive-wise, substanceless show about a male and a female. But I actually think so. But there's 2 areas which the show really excels progressively. One, of course, is the fact that Star is a female lead who's like actually a female lead, and the show has a female showrunner. That's like, I didn't know the show. Like I knew that Star was cute and like the show would appeal to me in some way. The second I learned this had a female showrunner, I accelerated the us covering it process. Like that's a big deal to me. But unexpectedly, I think the show is great racially, racial diversity. Just casually, Marco's like half or full. I'm not entirely clear on his mom, Hispanic, right? And it's great. It's just like the whole family is just Hispanic, and it's like not a big deal. Also, a lot of the random characters they show are not white. And just the show is very racially diverse, even though their alien lead girl is somehow blonde hair, blue eyed, even though she's an alien. You know, they make up for this by having the rest of the show, there's the cast be very diverse. So I think that's a wonderful thing about the show. Yeah. Okay. So and it's like not even a thing really, except I guess I don't know. I don't know if it's like never super important in talking about it, but it's really necessary to kind of get this feel good attitude from. Or else you get hung up on it just being a typical boy girl lead show. Okay, let's talk about My New One and Ludo in the Wild. Let's start with My New One. So we actually had plot stuff to cover at the end of last time. So we leave off with, let me get my episode outline out. But we left off with Star's wand. She lost it, then she has it back, but there's only half of the star on it. Ludo's been like the castle's gone, right? And Ludo's something. I think we learned the Ludo update here, and then Toffee, something happened with Toffee. So we get most of our plot stuff in Ludo in the Wild regarding the villains, but at least with Star, we have Star trying to repair her wand here. From a plot perspective, with this first episode on the Star side of things, are you satisfied with how My New One treated the plot of the show?
I feel like I like what we got out of this episode because I think the three big things basically were that the wand's kind of wonky. Star can do magic without the wand, and I'd consider this a plot element because I swear it's going to come back. Her diary. Those were the big three things we got out of the episode, I think, as far as plot developments.
Her journal.
Journal, yes, not diary, journal. You're right.
Don't read my journal. Yeah, her journal. I don't know if that was a big plot thing or not, but yeah.
I think it will be because we hadn't seen it at all. Not even like her casually writing in it, to the best of my knowledge. And the fact that kind of just came out of nowhere.
What do you think of how they handled the wand?
I mean, I was okay with it. I had no issues with it, I guess. When it comes to the show's mythology, it's kind of like, do your thing. I don't know where you're going with it. I don't know if you know where you're going with it. So just whatever you need to do with it.
Yeah. I don't really care either. The only hang up is that all the mythology stuff presented in these two episodes was frustratingly superficial. We see this buffed up unicorn running in the wand. We see Glasswork trying to fix the wand, and none of it amounts to anything. That's fine if you pay off character moments, but I think this episode also doesn't really pay off character moments. The journal is a great example of this. This is a really interesting concept. But then all it amounts to is, didn't read my journal, Marco.
But we got a good moment, I think, from Star and her mom. I thought that moment was actually pretty cool.
So, okay, right. So Star talking to her mom, I think that's probably the best part of the episode. We learned that I don't know if this is a thing that was known, but Star's mom also had the wand at the same time as Star and learned magic and had Glasseric. And
I think we knew it was handed down, but I don't think we realized it was handed down. I don't even know how to pronounce the word.
Matriarchally or matriarchally.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know, we knew that it was handed down, but I didn't know that I didn't know that her mom went through training like Star is. Yeah. That's interesting. I love the call to her mom, especially because last season we have the
call mom, and it was Tom.
Well, we had that, and we also had you have mommy issues, and she's like, I have mom issues. Yeah, wait, what's mom issues, right? I think that was great. Yeah. So I'm glad we're exploring this, and this is a great example of why Star is a complex character. These type of facets of her personality. I agree. That was the best part of the episode. What else stood out to you from it?
All the scenes of Marco in the closet I thought were just fun, gag after gag after gag. I enjoyed that as kind of a parallel to what Star was doing. It wasn't great TV, but it was fun.
Yeah, so this is the perfect example of what I'm talking about without substance. Marco in the closet. Marco's a good character. Some sort of funny things are happening. What it amounts to is absolutely nothing for his character, for the plot, for his dynamic with Star. That goes nowhere. That was very frustrating to me. Why don't we just do something with that? We don't need it to be some big plot element, but why aren't they going to talk about why she has a closet full of secrets? Why aren't you guys talking about keeping secrets in terms of your friendship? Give me something. Give me something here. Come on.
It could have been as he was sorting, just something why does she need a whole closet of secrets? How does this count as a secret? Just some monologue thing.
Yeah. And
that would have still been funny.
Yeah.
But given something.
And yeah, because everything's just so substanceless. The best, they do talk. They have this great scene where they're both lying on their backs, heads, separated by the door and stuff, and they're talking. But then that never doesn't do anything. They don't go anywhere with that discussion. I felt that was I loved the visual. I think this episode visually is doing a lot of good things. I love the visual of them, lying like that. Good Starco moment, #Starco moment there. But ultimately, it doesn't really amount to anything. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. I'm curious, do you like Glasseric at all as a character?
Okay, let's talk about Glasseric. So, Glasseric previously appeared in the Muberty one, right? And then,
he popped up a couple of times. I know Muberty was,
and then in the finale, I feel
I think it was the finale Muberty, and there may have been one more where he popped up.
So,
I think.
First thing. So one thing with Glasseric is that Jeffrey Tambor voices Glasseric, and he in the Muberty, he has this lick the sides thing, and then they reference that again, but that was like hilarious. Like Jeffrey Tambor is really
Yes.
good in this role. Other than that, I basically hate Glossric. I think that Glossric is some version of racist. I am not completely sure how much. I think this archetype. So this he's a. I mean, Jeffrey Tambor voicing this. It's like the Robin Williams genie. Like if you're gonna call Jeffrey Tambor's Glossric like a racist characterization, I feel like you have to call the Robin Williams genie also racist, and I feel like they probably both are. This is more over the top and more absurd. So it does stand out as not progressive in an otherwise racially progressive show. So that's annoying. Number one. Number two, Glossric in this episode just sucks. Like
Yes.
he gives me nothing. I kind of hate. He's like super vague. I hate his references to weird things. The chunks and whatever's going on with that. I kind of hated all that. So no, I initially was very in on Glossric. His first episode. Now I'm like very out.
I was out from the beginning. Like I kind of like. I mean, the pudding line, yeah, it was fun. I liked Marco referencing it more than I actually liked the line. And I think my thing is comparing back to Robin Williams' genie. The genie tries to help. He at least is trying to be helpful, and his references are at least fun. Glossaric just feels needless.
He doesn't help at all. Like
No, he's actually hindering, I'd say.
Yes, he doesn't do anything. I mean, he's examining the one, and then it's like, eh.
An actual glossary would have been more helpful.
Oh yeah, Glazeric does talk to the parents in the finale, I think, or something like that. Yeah, I thought that was the first clue that this passing down type thing was happening. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, Glazeric in this episode's the worst, just the worst. Super not helpful.
Clearly, the worst part of the episode, I'd say.
Yeah, I'd agree. Not a fan of this one. I do think the shtick with him doing like the scrape the sides, they tried to extrapolate it into his character this episode, and I don't think it worked. Some people probably disagree. Let us know if you're Glossaric fans, but I was certainly not. Well, what else you got? What else you got in this episode? It's only 10 minutes, so there's only
this episode is kind of to me. I mean, it was.
So you're with me on this being not great.
Yeah, I mean, the gags were fun. Again, Laser Puppy Machine Gun is probably my favorite gag they've done. I thought that was so cute.
I just imagine if I was a Star fan from when it originally aired, and then we had to wait like a year. I don't actually know how long there was between this and this. I can look this up as we're going. But
at least a few months, like at least probably 9 months.
Last episode aired in September, so yeah, like 3/4 of a year, and then I'm like, okay, I get to see Star again. I get to get back into this dynamic of the show, and then they give us this super substanceless episode with like heavy Glossaric. I'd be so disappointed with that. I'd just be so disappointed. I was already disappointed. I only waited like 5 days for this.
I would have rather gotten like a Jackie episode than a Glossaric episode, because that's what this is. This was a Glossaric episode.
There were no Jackie episodes in the show, but no, this was a Star episode to a certain extent.
Okay,
so we have Star learning this casting list spell thing.
Dip down.
Yeah, so dip down's the worst. Get out with that. And then even her
mom. A dip down ban.
I mean, no, because it's a plot element. But even her mom was talking in stupid generalities. You have to give it everything you have or whatever. Like, come on, just someone say something of substance, please. But I like Star having to like learn, and she's like, apparently she's advanced. That scene with her mom was great, and I think I took the screenshot for this podcast from that scene. Clearly the best scene of the episode. But I like her learning something, and I actually really loved the climax of her opening the door. She gets kind of Muberty-ish in some form to so I think that hints at potential future mythology of the show, her turning into some sort of different colored fairy or butterfly. I assume it's a butterfly, but because her name's Butterfly. Like she has wings. Let's remember, we haven't really addressed that. She has wings at the end of Muberty, right?
Oh yes.
We forget about this, her Muberty wings. So I assume that's the next progression of this, and I like progressing it in this way. Star's disposition for all of this, which is her typical disposition of like, I don't know how to describe it, but you can tell it's just the way she acts when plot stuff happens, I think it's interesting and a little bit frustrating that we never like see her comment on anything or address it. It's she goes from like serious like ooh to silly Star, which is I just feel like it's very realistic though. So
Yeah, that is Star's character,
and I feel like it's like a real human. It's like even though she's a magic space butterfly type thing, but yeah, I was a fan of the opening the door, even if it was like 5 seconds. So that's the other good thing from the episode. Let's go. I have some other stuff written down. Let's go through that. So yeah, I said the theme song, they updated the supporting cast, including Starfan 13. So who we cut to as Star's recording her vlog in the beginning.
Oh yeah,
which I thought was.
Are we
really
gonna see
weird.
more of her?
She's in the opening credits now, so maybe Starfan 13. Are you Starfan 13? Is that you?
No, I'm 14. Sorry.
Oh, you're 14 years old. Okay.
No, Starfan 14.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was a bit late to the bandwagon.
Yeah, I mean that might be my screen name. That's 13's in my screen name, so maybe that's me. But yeah, that was great. And then why is she recording a vlog? Like I
that was very lady blog.
That was very ladybugish. They'd never done that before. It's a great way to reintegrate into the season, but it's just very incongruous with what the show normally does.
But at the same time, it did feel very current.
It did feel very current and modern. Yeah, I agree. And they recap the finale, and then we see Starfan 13 and her with and then the laser puppy comes in, and she's like, no, not now, sweetie. She says to the
I know
laser puppy. It's great. They bring it back. It's great. Secrets Closet, Glossaric. The find her secret type thing. Like, what was the point of that? We don't get any payoff to that. Like, come on.
It's like, did he know that would be the one thing that would make her be able to dip down and open the door?
Oh, yeah. I guess that's where that's going. Like, if he's about to read her journal, then Glossaric planned all that? Yeah, I'm sure about that.
He's smarter than we give him credit for.
Well, I give him credit for no smarts because he's the worst, but dip down
exactly.
Do magic without the wand. So if Star can do magic without the wand, doesn't this eliminate the entire point of the show of Ludo trying to take her wand?
Well, she didn't know how to. Well, the wand is still powerful. It's just she's more powerful, or she has the capacity to become more powerful than the wand.
Then you can just.
But very few people do.
You can just lock the wand away, though, and now Star can just do magic without the wand.
Well, due to part 2, we no longer have to worry about locking the wand away because somebody broke the wand. Not naming names.
Okay, we'll talk about that in part 2. Glossaric trying to fix the wand, which doesn't go anywhere. Star dipping down, Marco doing whatever. Yeah, Marco pretty useless for a little bit. Calling mom. I didn't learn that until I was 19. I thought that was great. No instructions. That sounds familiar. So they like bond over Glossaric.
Mm-hmm.
Give it everything you have. Then we see like the muscle unicorn in the wands. So we had the Starco talking to each other, lying down scene. Star's journal, chapter 1. Mom's a poop head. Chapter 11. My thoughts on Marco. So what do you think was in chapter 11? I don't think Star's writing down, oh, Marco's so cute. Like, why can't he read that?
I don't think she's writing down anything superficial about him being like cute or anything. This is Star we're talking about, though. It's probably either something super stupid, like completely silly and random, and only Star would think of it. Like, oh, Marco snores too loud, or something along those lines of like Starisms. Or it's personality based. Yeah. I doubt it's anything superficial, cutesy.
I agree with that. So you think it's possible she's writing down something like, Marco and I have been getting along. We had this big event and we bonded over that. I could see myself like marrying Marco or something like that. He's really cool. Something like that.
Yeah, especially if she wrote in her journal, going a bit headcanon here, she wrote in her journal the night of the Blood Moon Ball. There could definitely be some Marco feels in there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm mad at him, but I get what he was trying to do, and I don't know what to do. The feels,
You think she's writing down the feels? I don't know if she's a grasp of that Earth culture yet.
Maybe. We don't know how much TV she watches.
Yeah,
maybe she just sits there watching 90210 all day. We don't know.
Is she going to watch
Camp Pining Hearts?
Yeah, and then is she going to ship Percy and Pierre? Is Star Peridot? Is that what's going on?
No.
The arcs are similar in that they have to like adapt to Earth and stuff, you know.
Yes,
That's very
but one
general,
of
though.
them was introduced as
Yeah, whatever. Okay,
already
we don't need to
good.
get we need to get into that. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest takeaway is that this means Star has thoughts on Marco that she won't tell him. I don't
Yes.
think that's obvious because to a certain extent, it seems like Star is a very surface level, no secrets type of person. But at the
Hmm.
same time, that's just her personality, her bubbly personality, and it doesn't necessarily mean she's going to tell Marco everything, right? So I
Right.
think to me this is new information. She has things that she doesn't want Marco to see.
Yes. And I love that she seemed, I don't want to say okay with him reading the other parts, but less quick to stop him.
Yeah, I think
Like,
this implies that there's some sort of romantic discussion here. Um,
yeah.
but that could just be the Starco coming out. The Starco biasing it.
I'm not even Starco, and I thought that,
How are you
so.
not Starco? Like, it's so baffling.
I like Jana. I'm sorry.
You can. Jana's not a person. Like, come on.
Jana is a person,
I know
and
comment.
she at least cares for Marco, as we see in a couple episodes. She cares for him more than Jackie does, at least.
I know commenter Steve was in on Jana. He's like, that's my favorite character. I'm like, I don't know who that is while I was watching the show.
Yay!
So we can. Okay, let's talk about Ludo in the Wild.
Yes, please. I like this episode.
Okay, talk to me about your opinion of Ludo in the Wild.
See, it has. They could have very simply shown in the last snippet of the season 1 finale, Ludo being the one who found the other half of the star. They could have done that so easily and left it there. They could have done it at the end of the new one. They could have done it at any point in time. They didn't need a full episode about what happened to Ludo before he found it. I'm so glad they did because anyone who knows me knows I really like kind of experimental, separate episodes, things that kind of go a different route from what you'd expect. And this did that. I love the setup with like the day 1, day 37, 65, 90, kind of the way they progressed. And just the slow building of Ludo, like breaking him down to nothing, building this up, finally putting him in some position of power in this new world that he didn't know what it was. It was like when he was finally away from what he had wanted so long, he finally had power. And then I love that whole, like, I don't think Star was actually there. I love that whole, I think it was an illusion.
Yeah, I think it's pretty
The way
clearly
that
an illusion.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the way that happened. Him getting all his power and then being drawn away from it and finding the star, seeing he's on Muni. Just something about the episode. I like more experimental styles of storytelling, and this was a very quiet episode apart from Ludo talking.
So do you think this was a good episode, or do you think this was like one of the show's best episodes?
See, it's hard to say it's one of the show's best episodes because really, apart from the last second, it has no actual bearing on the show.
It's not really like an episode.
I
of the
think
show.
it's one of the best episodes the show has produced. I wouldn't say it's the best of the show, and I know that kind of doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I know.
But
It's just so different. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, it's like I could see this being on its own considered a great episode, but I think in the canon of Star, it's not considered a great episode.
I mean, I think you could, but it's hard to tell. Okay, yeah. So to me, Ludo in the Wild is like a Pixar short before a Pixar movie, like the recent one with recent one with the sequels. Like that's obviously good. That short, like it's gorgeous. You're doing tremendous amounts of storytelling without talking. But it's not, I don't think it was good. I mean, it was like a thing. Like to me, this isn't my type of episode. Like, look, I understand that Ludo in the Wild is good. Potentially this is the best thing the show has done. I could understand that argument. They do tremendous amounts of interesting storytelling, not tremendous, some amount of interesting storytelling without really having much dialogue. Thematically, it's good. It's got incredible animation and it ends in a really good way. If you want to say that this is clearly the best episode the show has produced, that's fine. This isn't my type of episode. There's no storytelling happening really. It's mostly just substanceless Ludo bonding with animals, and if you've listened to me for a long time, I don't think this is a super surprising development that the episode without much dialogue I'm not in love with, and without much story happening. So I don't have much takeaways from it. The one thing I will say, I don't want this. I'm happy the show did something interesting. I'm not happy that it was at the expense of the things that the show is good at. This is like nothing, like we said, this is just not an episode of Star. This isn't like cute and fun. This is like maybe kind of fun and interesting and like gorgeous and cinematic, but this isn't like what I'm watching Star for. So I was frustrated in that regard. That being said, I still recognize if that it was an accomplishment, and good for them for doing this. Just don't do it again this season is what I would say.
Yeah, I'd definitely say. I think this is definitely, it's special because it is so different. If they were to try to do this again, I don't think it would work. I think it works because it's so unique and so different. And it's definitely very, very different from anything Star's done. I'm glad they took this one episode to kind of break the format. And I think they had to kind of give us some setup kind of to humanize Ludo a bit, because so far he's just been a gag. And if they are going to give him any kind of real relevance, which it seems that's where they're going, maybe not making him the main villain again, but at least making him more a character than a punching bag, we're going to need to at least care a little about him. And I think that's what this episode accomplished. I don't think it was good Star, but I think it was good for what it was.
Yeah, and we'll talk about Ludo in a second. I do find it frustrating that the time they try to break the format, they go in a direction of less substantial storytelling, which is already my problem with the show. I would prefer a super plot heavy break the format type episode with Ludo as opposed to this. I think this is not encouraging to me that they understand necessarily what's holding them back. So that's kind of my perspective. That being said, again, it's just a one-off. It's whatever they can do. This is the episode you submit for the Emmy, I guess, even though they submitted Blood Moon Ball for the Emmy and did not get nominated. But that was for the previous. That'll be a new go-round for next year. Also, this aired in the daytime, so you couldn't even submit it for primetime.
Well, you could submit it for a daytime Emmy, which are a thing.
Which are a thing and are not important. The primetime Emmy rules, though, if later episodes of the season air at night, then it would qualify, I believe. But anyway, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to talk about Ludo in the Wild. I definitely think it was gorgeous, and it was interesting that they did this. We'll talk about Ludo as a character in a second, but we quickly going through that line, Ludo in space, Star just like dimensional scissors and throwing him into like
that was
space.
classic.
That's pretty interesting. Floating in space, stuff with the chips. Like, I'm not in on this type of stuff.
That felt too Ice Age for me. I did not like that.
Oh, that was so Ice Age and the squirrel.
Because that was Strat and the little acorn, and I'm like, if we get 11 minutes of the worst part of Ice Age.
Ice Age 4, I think, just came out or something.
5.
Oh,
5.
God.
5.
Let me 23% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's higher than I would have thought for this. It's still
Is that still better than Cars 2?
No, Cars 2. I think Cars 2 actually had something close to a fresh rating. Cars 2 is a good movie. We don't need to get into that. It's not a great movie, but it's a good movie. Anyway, we haven't discussed that on the podcast yet, but me and Mel will eventually get there. So lands on this planet, stuff with the bird, yada yada yada, then stuff with the spider.
Oh, I love the spider element of the show. I thought that was the best part of the episode. Was just because it's kind
the longest part for sure.
It's kind of a trope, you know.
And it was with
I don't want you with me.
Yeah.
And it's the eventual acceptance. And then I thought they were going to go the more traditional route of like befriending the spider, and then they kind of flipped it and like control the spider. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was when I started to get into the episode a little bit, was when he eventually tames the spider, although I thought it was unrealistically quick. Not helping my opinion of this episode is my arachnophobia, so was not happy. Though the spider was not, it didn't look like a spider, so it's fine. Like, it was like a very cartoony
The
spider.
scene with the spider eating the other insect, I thought that was a bit much for the rating of this show.
I mean,
I wouldn't have expected that, because Star is TVY7. I would not have expected that we'd see a character who was talking start being eaten, and then
this
random...
is a socially accepted thing. If you want to analyze it and say that this is actually more violent than a lot of the stuff that isn't socially accepted, I would agree. But this is just very much like a spider eating a bug is
Yeah,
you could put that on
but
G. Like it's no one's gonna care. But yeah, I agree. So we don't need to get into
yeah,
that too much. But yeah,
that was hard to watch at some points, I thought.
yeah, having him talk and then it's interesting. Ludo says nature is a cruel mother and favors the something. I played that back twice and I couldn't figure out what word with M he was saying.
What was it?
It was a word that starts with M and then I don't know. Favors
Merciless.
Merciless. Okay. Alan Tudyk's accent on that. By the way, Alan Tudyk is great and Firefly, and he's great,
The king of Disney voice actors, Alan Tudyk.
Okay, interesting.
Well, look at all the movies he's been in recently for Disney.
Yeah, he's very good in this role, but yeah, I couldn't understand that word. Merciless, and so in order to survive, Ludo in the wild must find the wild in Ludo. They're very much trying to do like an art film type of thing.
Yes, it was. It was that art house.
Yeah.
Indie. Yeah.
Yeah, but then the best part for me is the star vision. Then finds half of the missing half of the wand star in a skeleton arm. I'm on uni, and then day one. Those day numbers were also very much like art house film type.
Yes.
Yeah. So he has part of the wand's power in the arm of Toffee.
Potentially.
I saw a discussion of this on CO as if this was like a confirmed thing that this is the arm of Toffee, but
CO.
Don't worry about it. And but it's I don't think it was clear from the episode. I guess you can imply it from the end of last season, though.
I think it is, but I don't think Toffee's dead. I have a feeling we're going to get one-armed Toffee.
So is Toffee dead? Right.
No, I don't think they're going to kill off that great a character. They are not going to pull the Darth Maul of Star, basically, because that's what that would be. Introduce a great villain and kill them off.
Yeah. Quickly on Toffee, the reason I like Toffee is because they introduce his character, him pulling like the stupid this is how you game the job interview type thing. He's like, and you've already hired me. But then like the villain who's our character who we know who's interacting with him is stupid enough to fall for that, and then he actually just becomes evil, like, and he's like takes over the villain part of the show. I love going from stupid job interview thing to like the true villain of the show. It's really great. A really great arc for Toffee. I find him interesting. Yeah.
I know a lot of people on the website, on the article you wrote, they were comparing Toffee's arc to kind of Azula and the Dai Li.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good comparison.
Sure. A little, yeah. I mean, it's a thing. Clearly Toffee is less significant, but and he was in for like 6 episodes or something.
As far as we know, Toffee's less significant.
He could be the main villain of the show, but I mean, in terms of like Azula at that point was slightly more significant. That being said, Azula comes in halfway through the show. This character comes in halfway, so maybe that is a good comparison in terms of like taking over the troops.
But especially the scene itself, where it's like they're with me, not you.
Who's more competent, Long Feng or Ludo?
Mm-hmm.
Long Feng.
Who's more, Long Feng or Ludo? Oh.
Yeah, Long Feng. The answer is Long Feng, but that's okay.
Okay, Ludo actually rescued these monsters. He's like running an orphanage basically for monsters.
Yeah,
Long Feng, he just recruited soldiers.
Ludo's a better person. Clearly,
somehow Ludo is the better person.
So let's talk about Ludo quickly. Do you think this is a good character?
At first, I thought it would be kind of a pointless character. In hindsight, I actually do like the character of Ludo. He's grown on me a lot. I like what they're doing with him. I want to know why I want to know why he hates the butterfly family so much.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's more there because he's clearly much older than Star. And I think we're going to see like Star's father did something, or there's some interaction in a past life. And I say Star's father because I know he loved monster hunting. I feel we're going to get something with that soon.
Yeah, so we don't know nothing about Ludo. Initially, he's just the stupid villain, right? But then they give him depth. They show his interactions with his monster crew. They give his monster crew depth. They show like he's actually a good person. He's like, I brought you in, like, and all that stuff. Maybe I have a Ludo impression somewhere in me. I'll work on that. They do this episode, which does wonders for Ludo's character, and he goes from like like kind of just silly villain and like some stupidly like presented as evil, like kind of for no reason. Because then we start seeing that he's like not a bad person, and it's like, wow, okay, why is he evil? Why does he want the wand? It's just kind of comical. To at this point where he could be some sort of not a villain, some sort of like vigilante type character on the show, some sort of anti-hero type character.
I feel like the way they're going, they are going to definitely humanize the monsters. We got a bit of it in Independence Day with the whole Marcus saying like it was unfair, like the strength of the Muni army against the monsters, and the like Ludo talking like how he found these monsters, like abandoned basically.
We very briefly got into the butterfly families are actually the bad guys type thing, like very briefly in season 1.
I think that would be such a good twist for Ludo to not actually be, I mean, he'd still be a villain, but I think more doing the wrong thing for the right reason kind of thing. I mean, even though he's not I wouldn't call him a great person, but because he's clearly incompetent and clearly doesn't know how to take blame for himself, but he does at least try, I think, and that makes him maybe the best of the monsters. Actually, Buff Frog is the best monster there is, but
so is Butt Frog the one? Who's the one in the finale? Is that him?
Yes, the one with the tadpoles,
the spy one.
Well, what do you mean spy one? Yeah.
So we see Butt Frog spying on them like all season long.
Yes, the spy guy. Yeah.
And then I'm like, why are they humanizing this random lobster thing or whatever they
lobster claws?
Where when we have this one who we see all the time just spying on them, and then we do humanize him in the finale. Like he's the important one. I love that. It was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that type of stuff. I think Ludo's interesting. They're going in interesting directions with Ludo. Certainly, he started from a super light and inconsequential position, but whatever,
I'd almost compare it to Mojo Jojo, and I know it's a weird comparison, but at first they were both just stupid comical villains. But with both of them, we do eventually start, or at least it seems they're going this way with Ludo. I know with Mojo Jojo, we did kind of get that sympathy eventually.
Yeah, and Mojo in the new Powerpuff Girls is certainly a not even really a villain type character. He's kind of just like there, and he's like, he's technically evil, but he's just doing his own type of thing, and they check in on him sometimes. And I feel like that's where we're going with Ludo. Yeah, that Mojo Jojo is probably the best comparison. Yeah.
Hooray! I made a comparison.
You've been surprisingly restrained with them, only doing good ones. Okay, so we're both meh on My New Wand, and we're split on Ludo in the Wild. Up next week is, let's check, Mr. Candle Cares and Red Belt.
Okay.
Marco upgrading his belt.
That's something I love about Marco. If I can briefly, speaking from experience, when you do martial arts, people find it interesting if you have a black belt. Anything below that, you kind of get looked at like a dork.
Yeah.
And they played off that so well with the green belt with the stripe line. They just played off that, like, it's either black belt or nothing mentality that a lot of people have. And I thought that was brilliant. So kudos, Marco. Get your red belt. 2 more.
I always forget about the karate boy. Like, I love that. It was so good. That's a good aspect of Marco. Apparently that was the first aspect of Marco, was him just being this karate kid. And then we've developed.
And then they turned to Safe Kid.
Yeah, and then it turned into this. I love Safe Kid introduction. Like, so good. That first episode's really good. I need to rewatch it. But yeah.
That's a solid episode.
Yeah. And somewhere in the season preview, we got a scene of, I don't know if you've seen this, of Star like telling the principal or someone that I don't know if that's true, of that her and Marco are smooch buddies now.
I've heard the line, we're smooch buddies. I don't know.
The Star Coast shippers are eagerly anticipating.
No. I'm going to quote Danny Phantom. We're going to get the fake out, make out. That's what we're going to get.
Oh, certainly this is not a real thing. This is some sort of plan that they have in order to accomplish something. Or one of them's possessed, or like, this is not real.
Correct.
But we're still highly anticipating the Smooch Buddies scene. So we'll see about that.
Because Star saying Smooch Buddies is probably the funniest thing ever.
That's such a star at the show way of phrasing this type of thing. As that line. Anyway, we'll see if we get any real Star Coast Smooch Buddies this season. Apparently the season is
It's a longer.
Yeah, longer. It's 22 episodes instead of 13. So
Yeah, 22, 11 minutes. That's like Adventure Time length. I'm impressed.
Nothing's quite at the level of Adventure Time seasons in terms of length. Those are infinitely long. But
it's 4 away from what season 6 was, because season 6 was
they've been shortening
26 half hours.
Yeah, so they've been shortening them. Anyway, that's it for the start. Last things on Star. We've gone in over an hour.
I have nothing. Just live on, Space Unicorn. Live on.
Oh yeah, Space Unicorn. Yeah.
Sorry through the stars.
Who's more dorky, Marco? But I can't even think of a comparison. He's
me.
Humans, so well, you're more dorky than Marco, but you've less of an excuse because you're older. So
there
you go. That's my.
And who hired me again?
I mean, I didn't. Dorkiness was not an employment criteria, so anyway, Dylan Hysen and Justin Cummings, and we'll bring on other co-hosts for future Star discussions. Let us know what you thought of any of our comments on Star. Tell me why I'm so wrong on Ludo in the Wild. It's fine. And tell us, refute me and say that the Smooch Buddy scene will be real. You can leave us YouTube comments. You can go to the website overlyanimated.com and leave comments on the article for the podcast. You can send us Tumblr asks. Hopefully people dig our podcast on the show. I'm enjoying the show, so glad we're covering it. In the future, we'll probably be podcasting on this on Mondays because we're going to be podcasting anyway about Steven Universe, but we'll see.
Oh dear.
We'll see about that. But yeah, overlyanimated.com, and you can support us at patreon.com/overlyanimated. We're ad free. We rely on the support of our patrons. Thank you very much to Mitch Cordell, Beatrice, Nate, Andy, Jamie, Rachel, John, Ryan, Catherine, Taylor, Davon, and Jade, aka Hey Fever, Mitch Carter, Steve Beach, Nathan Fillion, Buzz Lightyear, Mailman, Rachel Steinbravo, Brian, Cookcat, Needle, and still working on those last 2 nicknames. And yep. Thanks for listening, guys. Tomorrow, our Steven Universe Roundtable. Monday, our Ladybug Roundtable. Then, Infinite Steven Universe discussions. Next Star episode, etc., etc. We will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.